Hello, everyone. My name is Michael Sparacino, aka Shades. This is Pucks and Brews, episode number 51. As always, I am joined by my illustrious co-host, Liam the Shellmaster Godimer. Liam, what is going on?
What an introduction. I'm well, Shades. How about you?
Doing okay. I just spent a crap ton on Christmas gifts, so I could be a little bit better financially, but other than that, doing good.
Now, the feeling of giving is like no other. So,
Y-
might hurt
Yeah,
your bank account a little bit, but,
yeah, bank account and the wallet. It's
um,
what a time to be alive.
absolutely.
So, how's everything been, man? How are the Atlanta Gladiators?
Yeah, I was telling you once we were off air here, they started the season 8-0-0, their best start in franchise history, most consecutive wins to begin a season without a loss. And then they lost 14 of their next 15, including a 9-game losing streak. But luckily, we snapped that last night. So back on the winning side of things, 4 games under 500. But you know what? 24 games into the season, it's a 72-game year. Still a lot of hockey to be played. So I'm hopeful.
That is insane.
Yeah.
That, yeah.
But I'm loving every minute of the job. Hey, last night's game was a lot of fun. The game was tied 3-3 against a team that we were 1-6 against entering the game this season. So already 7 head-to-head meetings.
Dear Lord.
This was the 8th. We got a goal with 3 minutes left, and we won 5-3. So the vibes are good. The vibes are good, Shades, with the guys.
Now, was that one in the first 8 games or the one win in the 15 game stretch?
That was the second win now in a 16-game stretch. So yeah. So we started the season 8-0-0. We went through quite a bit of a long losing streak. We snapped it, and then 9-game losing streak again after that, which ended yesterday. So it's funny. When I first took the job last year, I came in mid-February, and they rattled off 8 losses in a row from my first game all the way on.
Wow.
So I'm trying not to take it personally, hockey gods, but we'll see what the rest of the season has to hold.
That's crazy though. Freaking, you're thinking bona fide playoff team to all of a sudden, please don't finish at the bottom of the standings.
That's why you can't ever count your chickens before they hatch.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
could just find yourself at the bottom of the league. But again, we're gonna turn it around. Vibes are good. Vibes are good.
Hopefully, fingers crossed. And since it is Pucks and Brews, got my medium cold brew. So cheers, buddy.
Nothing today.
It's all good. I got enough
Yeah.
for both of us.
Take an extra sip for me.
And this is after an extra large coffee this morning. So if I start to like go, off the wall,
Spaz out a little bit there. Yeah.
yeah, you know why.
All right.
So, latest thing, or one of the latest things to happen in the hockey world, John Tavares has hit the 1,000 point milestone, and he did it, of all places, on Long Island at UBS Arena against the New York Islanders, and the crowd just let him have it. Like, they still hate this guy.
Yeah, they do. And again, I don't know if their franchise would be in a better spot necessarily had he stayed. But regardless, John Tavares earns his 1,000th career point, like you said, at UBS Arena on Long Island a couple weeks ago now, or about a week ago, rather. I believe did he get an assist, a primary assist on the game tying goal in the final seconds there? I know
I believe so.
Maple Leafs lost in overtime. But certainly a fun game between those two teams. And congratulations to John Tavares.
Yeah, the Maple Leafs would lose that game in overtime, but
Right. Yeah.
yeah,
Come all the way back.
that's kind of the funny part, to be honest.
Right.
Yeah, but I might actually agree with you. Would they be in a better spot at the moment? Maybe, maybe not. Had he stayed, would they have possibly won a cup those 2 years that they lost to Tampa in the conference final? Maybe.
Right.
Yeah, but we're not playing the games or the game of what ifs. We are playing the game of what happened.
Exactly. And again, a couple good runs there for the Islanders, but this year and onward, the future looks a little bleak for the New York Islanders. But I do have a question for you, Shades.
Hit
On
me.
social media, kind of went rampant after, like you said, the chorus of boos for John Tavares once he reached that milestone. And people were critical of Islander fans for booing John Tavares. Even though the situation is what it is. If you're a hockey fan, in my opinion, you should appreciate the greatness. I just want to know where you stood on that. And, Islander fans are defending their fan base, and I don't know, just a big situation here. Interested to see where you stood.
So funny enough, you should bring this up. I was listening to a clip from Chris Johnston's podcast, and him and his co-host, whose name I can literally never remember. Sorry, but they were talking about this, and they were on complete opposite sides of the spectrum. Johnston was just like he actually likes the Islanders booing him, and his co-host was just like I don't like it, and he basically explained his reasoning why he liked it as it's sort of a way of respect in a way because you were appreciated that much here and you leaving hurt that much. And like I kind of understood what he was saying. I mean, they're definitely passionate Islander fans about this particular thing, which is what is it, 5 years after the fact is actually I gotta give it to him. I mean, it takes it takes a lot to be this mad about something 5 years later, but where I stand, I don't know. I'm kind of just like this guy was drafted here. He played what, 9 years there? I don't know, man. It's just like they made the playoffs 3 times when he was there. They finally brought in Lamoriello and Barry Trotz on his way out, which, in my personal opinion, I said it at the time, and I'm going to continue to say it. It was too little, too late to keep him there. Had they done things a year earlier, there might have been a lot better of a chance of him staying, or at least telling them straight up, I'm leaving in free agency. But that's not what happened. But I kind of like if a former player, say, I don't know, say
I was thinking
Mika gets
Mika.
traded
Yeah.
and he records his 1,000 point down the line with a different team. Would you boo him if you were at the game and he did it against us? I don't think I could boo him.
Well, I think it's different, right? Because Mika was not drafted by the Rangers. I think a better comparison would be Lafreniere, right? Let's just say Lafreniere, once he becomes an unrestricted free agent and his rights are gone, from the Rangers, and he signs with hometown Montreal, and he has a couple of great years, and he comes back and he gets his 1,000th point with the Rangers. You're going to boo Lafreniere? I mean, I personally would not. I would not boo him.
I might because of his first couple seasons here with us, and hypothetically, if he gets traded this offseason, which I'm not predicting anything, I'm just throwing this out as a hypothetical. If he leaves and completely turns his career around and becomes that guy, I might boo him.
It's more of a failure on the organization that he didn't reach his potential, though, than it is
Yes.
on the player. And I want to make that known. And same thing with the Islanders, right? John Tavares, I mean, he definitely came into his own. He was a superstar with the Islanders, but the team never got to what their ultimate goal was. And they never reached sustained success or enough sustained success to where you actually looked at the New York Islanders as a viable threat to the Stanley Cup until he left. So for me, that's just kind of how I see it. And that's why circumstantial within this situation, I think that the Islander fans are wrong for booing him. And I would not have booed him. And I would have given respect to a player that, gave my franchise a lot of great memories. We may not have won while you were here. But again, he was a number 1 overall pick. He was the first real superstar with the Islanders, right?
Hmm.
Go back to another superstar on the Islanders, Alexei Yashin, Zdeno Chara wasn't that guy yet, so Brian Trottier, you're going all the way back. So yeah, I'm kind of on that side of the coin, to be honest.
Yeah, you and I are both kind of on the same side of the coin on this one. So,
Yeah, but regardless, it is what it is. The Islanders have booed him every single time he's touched the puck since he signed with Toronto, and every single game he's played at Nassau Coliseum or UBS Arena. So I guess we shouldn't have expected anything less.
yeah, and the weird thing is about players getting booed, like Adam Fox gets booed every time he touches the puck in Calgary. Meanwhile, it's just like, bro,
Yeah.
he got traded twice before he signed with us. Like, relax.
Again, more of a failure on the organization, right?
Well,
You
they
know,
never signed him.
right.
They never signed him.
Right. Yeah, the
Anyway,
fans.
but that's kind of just like going off on like a mini side rant, but I
Right.
digress. So, another thing to happen, or at least, in the last couple days, actually, a little bit, well, really unfortunate. Nolan Patrick, the second overall pick by the Philadelphia Flyers in 2017, was basically forced to retire because of concussions and all the issues that came with them. Unfortunately, I feel so bad for the kid, man. Like to have that much draft potential and then falling to number two when he was the consensus number one overall pick for pretty much 99% of the draft process going into that year, and then just terrible luck with concussions. You hate to see it.
You do. A multitude of head injuries throughout the career of Nolan Patrick. Vegas took a flyer on him, right? Traded for him from Philadelphia, wanted to give him a chance to reignite his career, but he could never get past his injury concerns. And like you said, there was a time where Nolan Patrick was the consensus number one overall pick in the 2017 draft. And it wasn't until Nico Hischier just randomly came out of the blue, really emerged as this number one two-way center, and he was drafted in that number one overall spot. And the Devils made a good pick, right?
Yeah.
But you can really never foresee extensive injury history like this. Can't blame the Flyers. You can't blame the player. For now, Nolan Patrick, still has his whole life ahead of him. You got to focus on your health and wellness, and hopefully he finds another career outside of hockey.
Yeah, hopefully.
But really a shame it had to end this way.
Yeah, it is. But
there was really no updates, right, about Nolan Patrick after Vegas acquired him. I think maybe he played one or two games, but after that, he just went right back to the sideline. So it's been pretty quiet on that front, which is why I think many NHL fans aren't really surprised by the news.
Yeah, it's just really unfortunate. And he's only, what, 24?
Yeah, 24.
24. I mean, like, Jesus Christ, dude, that's younger than me. And he has to be forced to retire because of concussions. Like, that's awful.
Right. But at least he recognized it early.
Yeah.
And again, 24, we're kind of just starting things, right, Shades? And Nolan Patrick has a chance, in a different area of life to kind of continue that. So,
Hey, at least he got to live out his dream of playing in the NHL.
100%. 100%.
So,
And to be drafted number 2 overall. I mean,
yeah, that's an accomplishment in itself.
Absolutely is.
So, well, I wish him nothing but the best in retirement, but he's making the smart decision, as unfortunate as it is.
Yeah.
So,
Agreed.
that's all I have to say about that. So, speaking of players, we're going to a completely different area on this one. Alexander Ovechkin currently has 6 goals on the season. Is he playing with just terrible luck? Is he snake bitten right now, or is he getting old?
It's so tough, right? Because I could say he's getting old and that he's falling off, and the next game he could put up a hat trick, and this entire narrative could be thrown straight out the window, right? And for me, I can only go on what he's done in the past, and every single year, pretty much, he's been over 35 goals at least, outside of shortened years due to the lockout or other reasons. Yeah. So yeah, Alexander Ovechkin is a surefire Hall of Famer. Only 6 goals on the year at this point. It's disappointing. I'm sure Capitals fans are kind of shaking their heads, especially with how close Ovechkin is to tying and breaking Wayne Gretzky's goal record of 894. But for me, I'm not ready to say that he's getting old. I'm just going to say that this is a stretch for the Washington Capitals in which their roster is built to where it doesn't promote a lot of goal scoring. And when Alexander Ovechkin is the clear-cut number one option on the power play, and you're not really showcasing any other threats on the ice, Ovi's main ability to score goals really gets shut down. And if he's not producing on the man advantage, and he doesn't have the confidence to, put goals in 5-on-5, I think it kind of leads to what we're seeing early on this year. But I'm not ready to throw in the towel yet. I still think he ends up with 25, 30 goals.
So I just looked up how many shots he has so far this season and his shooting percentage.
Yeah.
He has 109 shots so far in 29 games. He actually has 5 goals and 13 assists for 18 points, but his shooting percentage is currently at 4.6%. Just for reference, his entire career thus far, the only season he's finished under 10% shooting was in 2010-2011, where he shot at an 8.7% clip, and he finished that particular season with 32 goals in 79 games. funny enough, the lockout shortened season in 2012-13, he shot 14.6% to finish with the same amount of goals in 31 less games. Wow, that's impressive.
Right.
So I don't know, 4.6%. Let's see, 109 times that by about 2 2/3. I'm trying to do quick math here. That's about close to 300, or I can just use a fucking calculator. That might, that might help.
Mhm.
He's on pace for about 300 shots. So if he raises the shooting percentage, if hey, it could be bad luck. I personally haven't watched a lot of Capitals games this year, but I was listening to Mike Rupp on NHL Network the other day, or at least I think it was Mike Rupp. It might have been Brian Boyle because they've been on NHL Network a lot lately. He said he's getting chances and he's shooting. It's the pucks are just not going in. And at a 4.6% rate, I'm more inclined to think he's snake bitten at the moment.
100%. 100%. I think sometimes you can read too much into slumps like this, especially surrounding superstar players. And I like the take from Roper Boyle, whoever it was. He's just snake bitten right now. He will figure it out. And again, right, we're having this conversation in December. If we're still talking about this in March, then maybe we can we can have a different story. But 5 goals is low. Still thinks he ends up with 30. Confident in that.
Yeah, me too. And Washington is actually not doing
They're a good
horrible this
team.
year.
They're a good team.
Yeah, their goaltending has been a little bit better than I think people anticipated. While it's not great,
Right.
that's what's kind of holding them up at the moment. So
But it's weird because I think their fans, and especially other fans around the NHL, would rather see the Capitals have a shitty season and Ovechkin break the goal record, or, he's obviously can't break the goal record this year, but at least make a significant mark in the goal record than make the playoffs and Ovi have a down year. So I think this isn't necessarily what Caps fans were hoping for. They knew this wasn't going to be a competitive season. They knew that they weren't going to compete for a Stanley Cup. But now they kind of find themselves in a position where they might be able to grab a wild card, but Ovi's on pace for less than 15 goals. So I don't know how you're supposed to feel if you're a fan of the Caps right now, especially with the fact that they won't be in DC for much longer. Do you hear about that?
I did not hear about that.
They're moving to Virginia.
Well, goddamn.
The Wizards and the Caps are moving to Virginia. Of course, not too far away geographically, but
Damn.
they're not going to be Washington anymore. Might change their name too. Virginia Capitals. Maybe that works.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel we should.
But look that up after the episode.
Yeah, I'll look. Okay. We'll revisit this in a later episode because this is breaking news to me.
Right.
I did not. I legitimately did not know that. But
Amen.
all right. You think Ovechkin's going to finish with 30? I'll go 35.
35. Yeah,
Yeah,
I just
why
think
not?
some of the so-called experts, right, saying that it's going to be a 15, 20 goal season. I just think that's ridiculous.
No,
Personally.
I don't see it. I mean, he scored. How many did he score last year? He had 42 last year in 73 games, and he shot at a 14.3% clip, which is actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 4th lowest shooting percentage he's had over the last 5 seasons, not including this one. God,
Mhm.
that's another impressive stat. Holy crap. All right. Yeah, so you say he'll finish with 30, I say he'll finish with 35, and yeah. So basically both of us are saying he's snake bitten at the moment.
He's snake bitten and at least 30, I'd say.
Yeah, I like it. Now, moving from the Capitals to the Pittsburgh Penguins. This I wanted to talk about, and one of my goalies just got moved to IR. That's fucking great fantasy. So another Chris Johnston clip that I came across within the last couple days. It was more so Erik Karlsson and talking about that trade and whether or not that was a good move in particular. But I want to talk about, did they make the wrong move going into the season of still trying to go for it and be a playoff team? Of course, that move in itself is included, obviously. What do you think?
I don't think they made the wrong move because I think they're truly backed into a corner right now. And I think you bring in Kyle Dubas, and you have two superstars in Evgeny Malkin and Sidney Crosby and Chris Letang. Let's be honest, so three.
As
And
much
you
as I
just
hate that, because I
you
think he's
just
very overrated.
I like Letang a lot. And you just re-signed Chris Letang, right? The year before to a 6-year contract extension. Crosby's got what, 4 or 5 years left? Gino, you just signed to a contract extension as well this past offseason. So for me, it's, they threw all their cards onto the table once they re-signed their guys. If they had any inclination to going into a rebuild, then Letang would have been let go. They would have swallowed that tough pill. And the same thing with Malkin. But they didn't do it, and they made the right call because you know what? You have a top 5 player of all time in Sidney Crosby on your team. He's aging, but he wants to be a Penguin, and you might as well go all in. Because right now, if you're going to go through an entire rebuild, by the time you come out of that and you're truly ready to compete, guess what? Sidney Crosby's 41 years old, and I don't know how effective he is. So again, they were really backed into a corner, but the second they hired Kyle Dubas, we knew what was in store. They were going to go all in. They did. They bring in Erik Karlsson, and it's coming back to bite them. I still think they have a chance to make it to the playoffs, but going anywhere in said playoffs, not going to happen. That's just where I'm at with the Penguins. But Dubas is going to try everything in his power to make his team competitive. I think if they're still where they are right now, come the trade deadline, I would not be surprised if they get aggressive. Am I still frozen?
Your camera keeps freezing.
Oh, okay. Well, sorry, that was such a good point too, and I just am frozen, and now everyone's gonna laugh at me. Please don't laugh at me. Laugh at the Penguins and Kyle Dubas for trading for Erik Karlsson in the offseason.
Here's the
back
thing.
into a corner. They had no choice, and that's where I stand on it.
Okay. Well, I think they made the wrong decision because not only was it not a good decision to keep trying to go for it, in my opinion, they have made bad move after bad move after bad move since winning back-to-back cups in 2016 and 2017. They have not won a playoff round since 2018, where they lost in the second round to the Capitals. And they last year was the first time they've missed the playoffs since, when was it? 2007? 2006?
I think they made the playoffs in 2007.
So first time they had
Right.
missed the playoffs in after a span of making it for, I think, 16 years. All of those bad moves finally came back to bite them, and they went out and fired the previous regime after losing to Chicago in the last game of the regular season last year to miss the playoffs on the last day of the season. To me, I don't care who was taking over the GM job of the Penguins at the time. This team is headed towards a full rebuild. Everyone around the league knows it, and the only way they're going to make the playoffs is if they would have hit on every single trade and every single free agent signing this offseason, which is very, very rarely done. And with the trajectory that the team is facing, that's just wasn't a very desirable GM job, in my opinion, in general.
I think it was a challenge. Sometimes, a challenge makes things desirable. You want to be the guy that's going to be able to turn it around. And I kind of think that's what Dubas's mindset was, especially after he was ousted from Toronto. And, I think mutually, both parties didn't want each other to be there anymore. But I disagree. I think they made a ton of bad moves. I'll agree on that part. But for me, again, they had no choice but to bring in Karlsson. Because if you don't bring in Karlsson and you stick with the same roster, you already know that roster is not good enough. Like you just said, they hadn't they hadn't won a round since 2018. So you had to make some change. And you know what? Why don't you add another veteran, a superstar veteran, but a veteran nonetheless, to a roster already filled with them, and try to catch lightning in a bottle. Obviously, it didn't work. I didn't think it was going to work. You didn't think it was going to work. And right now, it's not working. But at the time, I didn't exactly disagree with the move. I thought, okay, this is the position Pittsburgh is in. This is what you got to do. Do it. I hope it works out for you. It didn't work out. And that was it.
Hey, I'm just saying that, I think they made a mistake. I think they made a mistake by still trying to go for it because they're just prolonging the inevitable. Did it?
Then you got to trade Crosby.
You don't
Seriously, you
you don't
got.
have to.
You think Sidney Crosby is going to want to spend the last 5, 6 years of his career in a rebuild? I wouldn't.
Well, if I had my name on the cup 3 times, I would be a little bit more okay with it.
Agreed. Agreed. But I don't necessarily think Sidney Crosby is just going to sit back and kind of let his, twilight years of his career sit by while a bunch of rookies just skate with him. There's a
Yeah.
reason why Patrick Kane wanted out, of Chicago. There's a reason
Well,
why.
then again, his contract was also up.
Right. But again, he accepted the trade. And that was the big thing, right? It was a huge deal. He was probably going to leave Chicago anyway once he became a UFA. I 100% agree there. But it was a big deal once he had signed off on the trade to the Rangers. And for me, I just find Crosby to be in the same situation. And again, once they get out of that rebuild, we saw it with the Rangers, right? They went in a rebuild in 2017, 2018, started in the 2018 season.
Yeah,
they
unofficially started in 2017, officially started 2018.
You could argue that we have not been a legit cup contender until this year. I mean, last year we were in the conversation, but I wouldn't put us as a cup contender.
Yeah, in hindsight, no.
At the start of the year, at least. And that's kind of what I see with Pittsburgh. It's at least going to take them 5 to 6 years, and you're dealing with a 36-year-old Sidney Crosby, and his play is going to diminish. Sid knows that. And it would just be a disaster if the relationship between Sidney Crosby and the city of Pittsburgh and the Penguins split before his career was over. It would be a disaster. That he's just one of those players that has to stick with the same team his entire career. And I get it. If Wayne Gretzky can get traded, anybody can get traded. But for me, I just don't think that's the direction the Penguins are going. And I think they're going to keep kicking at the can. I don't think that they'll rebuild until 2 years from now, 3 years from now.
Like I said, they're prolonging the inevitable.
I don't disagree.
They're trying to fix all of their problems from the previous regime, basically with band-aid fixes. And in the long term, all that's going to do is keep them in the dreaded middle. And in the long term, well, I mean, actually, that's more the short and medium term. It's going to keep them in the dreaded middle. And in the long term, all that's going to do is you're slowly going to sink to the bottom, and it's going to take you that much longer to get out of a rebuild.
I don't disagree, but I wouldn't be unhappy to see it.
But you and I both hate the Penguins, and we don't. I mean, we admit it straight up. We don't care. Like we're Rangers fans.
Not a fan of Pittsburgh. I respect all hockey fans, but if there's one team I dislike other than the Islanders the most, it's Pittsburgh. I even hate Pittsburgh more than I hate the Devils.
Yeah, see,
I think that says something.
Yeah,
maybe that'll change if we meet in the playoffs again. The hatred definitely went up after the 7-game loss and in the playoffs last year, but that's an interesting discussion about the Penguins and their future.
Yeah,
I'm interested to hear what you think. Let us know.
Yeah, comment down below on the YouTube video. But yeah. Okay, your understanding of Pittsburgh's position and how they backed themselves into a corner, which they did. I still think they made all the wrong moves, but that's just me.
Yeah.
That's just me.
Yeah, that's my position. For me. And again, right, that's going to be the consequence sometimes of winning, those Stanley Cups and, in 2016 and 2017. Look at Chicago, they're starting to go through the same thing. I mean, Chicago had kind of a better front office leadership to where they were able to keep those core group of players around longer and keep the team competitive. But every team has its day, and Pittsburgh's is coming, but I still think it's going to be a little bit more far off. It's not going to come until a time where either Sidney Crosby's contract expires or he's ready to hang him up. Same thing in Chicago, same thing. There's a reason why the Blackhawks didn't enter a rebuild until Patrick Kane entered free agency. There's a reason why the Blackhawks didn't fully enter a rebuild until Jonathan Toews was on his last legs. They wanted to keep the team competitive for these superstars that helped make their franchise as elite as it's been in the last decade. So that's just where I'm at with it. But I understand where you're coming from. I do. But I'm not upset to see them in the basement.
Neither am I. Yeah, and lastly, like I brought up before, it not being a I forgot the word I used earlier, but it was not like if I was looking to be a GM of a team, I am going absolutely not if I'm getting asked by the Penguins, because they want to go in a different direction than I think that the team needs to go. And if like that would be a recipe for disaster.
Right.
Because yeah, but that's just me. That's just me. So to move on from the Penguins, even though we're about to talk about a former Penguin for a minute, Jaromir Jagr at 51 years old, still
Not a
trucking,
career
baby.
Penguin. Not a career Penguin.
Not a career Penguin, but he was a Penguin.
Right.
But hey, 51 years old, gets a primary assist in his team's first game back of the season. This guy's an animal.
57?
Is he 57? No, 51, right?
51? I forgot what I read earlier. It could
No.
be 57. I wasn't exactly.
No shot. He's 57. No shot. 51. Hey, I was right.
51. Okay. But again, like Jaromir Jagr, the legend continues to grow. He is what he is. He's, one of the greatest NHL players of all time. He's one of the greatest hockey players of all time.
Wait.
I think when you think of players who have played around many different leagues, I think Jaromir Jagr is probably up there, all time. You could talk about NHL specifically, but when you talk about the worldwide impact on the game, Jagr is just all over that. He owns a team now and he's playing for the team he owns, correct?
Was it Kladno?
Kladno? Okay.
I think so.
What a primary assist that was. He still got it.
Oh, yeah.
One over on the back door.
Yeah, Kladno of the Czech league.
Okay.
Yeah, if only he would have not gone overseas after playing with the Rangers those 3 years. He would have that many more goals and points.
Right. You would have made things interesting.
Yeah, so how many years was that? 3 that he went overseas or 2?
I think he went overseas for 2.
2. And he's still second all time in points.
Right.
Just think how many more points he would have if he would have stayed.
I'd say that about a lot of players, but for Jagr, it's unfortunate. But again, like he wanted to give himself the opportunity to play in other leagues, not, just in the NHL. I'm looking at it now. Yeah, he went overseas for 3 seasons.
My God.
So 2008, 2009, and 2010.
Hey, with the way he was playing those years, he would have at least 60 more goals and probably at least 150 more points.
He was the captain of Avant-Garde Omsk in the KHL. 50 points in 49 games. 9 points in 14 playoff games. What a beast. Then comes back to the NHL in 2011 and puts up 54 in 73 with the Flyers in 2011.
My God. This guy
with Dallas, Boston, and the Devils, and that was it.
Damn. Yeah, well, the guy's an animal, still trucking at 51 years old, and Jesus, I mean, living legend indeed, one of the GOATs. So,
absolutely.
All that has to be said about that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so as always, to end each and every episode, let's talk about our beloved New York Rangers, Liam.
Yes, of course. And again, like it is every week this season when talking about the NHL, it's always a positive one for the Rangers. Still atop of the league.
Yes, sir. And we just beat the Bruins again, just beat the Leafs. Gotta love it, man.
Gotta love it. You gotta love it indeed.
You want to know what else you gotta love?
What's that?
Fucking Jimmy Vesey, baby.
I'll tell you.
He scores nothing but game winners.
We signed him to a tryout. We bought him in a tryout. You believe that? He's arguably our most important bottom 6 piece.
Yeah.
He is. There's nobody more important in that bottom 6 than Jimmy Vesey to the success of the New York Rangers. And they're sitting 22-7-1 right now, 45 points, first place in the Metro Division. Ready for this? 6 points ahead of second place Philadelphia. What? Anyway.
That in itself is a what?
Yeah, that in itself is certainly a what. But great season from the Rangers, great season from Jimmy Vesey. And again, I think Vesey's got one more year on his deal after this, or he might become a UFA even after this season. Regardless of what it is, I think he's going to get paid Michael Bunting numbers.
What is Bunting getting paid? 4 or 5?
$5.5 million a year. And you're talking about a guy on a tryout contract who's getting paid $800,000 a year, has become the most important depth player on a team that is on track to win the President's Trophy He was an elite two-way forward last year. I just don't think a lot of people noticed. And this year, he's really starting to put it all together. That clutch gene is showing up for Vesey, which he's had throughout the entirety of his Rangers career. He's elite defensively. He's a perfect complement to his line mates on the third line. Can't say enough good about him. But unfortunately, his play has priced him out of the Rangers' future. So we should enjoy him while we have him.
Well, the good news is he is signed through next season at an $800,000 cap hit.
There you go. Chris Drury, another masterpiece.
Yeah, one of the few good free agent signings that he's had.
He's made a couple. There's a couple of sneaky ones there, but I think he's really struck gold on the depth. You look at the bottom six pieces he's brought in. VC, like you mentioned, signed through next year at 800,000. That is crazy. Tyler Pitlick, awesome compliment to the bottom six. Nick Bonino, same thing. So there's a reason why teams have successful years, and being able to roll all four lines is a big part of it offensively. And the Rangers are able to do that thanks to Chris Drury and the moves he made in the offseason. So,
yep. And speaking of, well, we're going to go in a little bit of an opposite direction here. VC's been playing great. Lafreniere, on the other hand, lately has become invisible yet again.
He scored last game. He scored against Toronto.
Oh, I missed most of that.
It got deflected off of a leaf.
Oh, so, yes. One of their 3 goals that got deflected off of a leaf. I only caught the third period of the Leafs
funny,
game.
I was watching the Leafs broadcast, and all they were saying was, yep, went off a leaf again.
A win is a win.
Goes,
A win is a win.
A win is a win. But for Lafreniere, again, regardless of the goal the other night against the Maple Leafs, still a little bit of a tough stretch, but he had a really good start to the year.
Very good start to the year. Bless you. You forgot to sneeze. You forgot to sneeze. You forgot to mute the first sneeze. You're usually pretty good at that.
I was a little, I was a little late on that one. What I was going to say before my nose rudely interrupted me.
Again. Wow, damn, again. You're 1 for 3 so far. Jesus.
Peter Laviolette has said that he has a lot of faith in Lafreniere, and that this recent stretch of tough play is nothing to write home about, and that he's going to turn it around. And I kind of feel the same way. Again, sometimes when you're on a team that's having so much success, it's hard for goals to go around to everybody. When you have Kreider, who's on pace for a 40-goal season, you have Zibanekad, who's just starting to pick things up. You have Panarin, who's had the best start to his career, arguably. It's there's not going to be a lot of goals to go around and points. And I think that's just what's coming with Lafreniere. But I would be shocked if he doesn't at least end up with 45 to 60 points at the end of the year.
Yeah, he's got a chance. And wow, we're already in the 5th year of Panarin's deal. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Time flies.
Time does fly.
Holy Jesus Christ, 5 years already. Where's the time gone? Where has the time
And he
gone?
has been worth every single penny of that $11.75 million, I can tell you that.
Yeah, about 99% of it. Except against the Devils last year, but we're not going to think about that.
Sometimes it's the coach.
Very true.
I think this year has proved it, at least so far.
Oh, yeah, that's with a couple different players, to be honest. Trouba's another prime example of that.
Trouba, what a year. What a year he's had. What a year. It's
been basically a complete 180 from the last 2 years with him.
Night and day, the player he is. And again, I sometimes I think things with Trouba last year were a little bit forced. And again, like his first year as captain, and it's going to take time to kind of get assimilated in that role. And this year he just looks a lot more comfortable. He's playing under Laviolette now. I think he has a little bit more free reign. His physicality has come out more. We're starting to see a little bit more of the offense. And again, it can't be the Ryan Lindgren and Adam Fox show. Keandre Miller has to step up. Same thing with Trouba. I think we're starting to see that out of the depth defenseman as well. Braden Schneider scores the game-winning goal,
which was nice, by the way.
Last game, which was beautiful. Zach Jones, he's going to go through his growing pains, but again, I think every other NHL team in the league would love to have Zach Jones in their top 6 right now. So if you're the Rangers, I think you appreciate what you have. But I'm just really happy with the overall state of the team, Shades. And I haven't even spoken about the goaltending yet. Can't wait to talk about that.
Well, let's talk about it right now. And as always, once per episode, my camera goes out of focus.
I saw it go out of focus. It kind of got me there for a second.
Yeah, wouldn't be an episode of Pucks and Brews without my camera going out of focus.
And me sneezing, so you know.
Yeah, yeah. One of those two things has to happen every single episode.
Indeed, indeed.
So let's talk about the goaltending.
Yeah.
Jonathan Quick has basically exceeded every single expectation that was put on him since the moment he was signed. And as much as I still hate the guy from 2014, I gotta admit, he's playing great.
Jonathan Quick, number one goaltender. No, no, no. I'm not gonna go that far. But Quick, again, he's just one of the many backups that have had rejuvenated careers under Benoit Allaire.
Yeah,
That's just it. I mean, we run up and down the list, from Andre Pavlich to Cam Talbot,
to Antti Ranta, to Marty
you know,
Biron.
Antti Ranta, Marty Biron, among others. Again, Benoit Allaire has really been a magician with the backup goaltenders for the Rangers. And Shesterkin's still trying to figure things out. But I think Jonathan Quick's play, what does he have? 9, 10 wins and 11 starts, 9 and 10 starts. That's incredible. And especially with his age and kind of where his career was at last year, he goes over to Vegas. He has a little bit of a nice run with the Golden Knights, doesn't get, a chance in the postseason, of course, wins the Stanley Cup. But there were a lot of question marks and, a lot of Ranger fans were like, well, you let Yaroslav Halak go and you bring in Jonathan Quick, a guy that you mentioned, we as a fan base despise, and a guy that's, older and kind of not able to implement the facets of his game that made him an elite goaltender, which was his quickness and his side-to-side ability, which of course you tend to lose as you age. And he has just come in and taken every single narrative about him, thrown it completely out the window, and he has become the best goalie in New York.
At the moment,
With
yeah.
Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, with Ilya Sorokin, with Levi, with Semyon Varlamov, even with Igor Shesterkin. Right now, Jonathan Quick is the best. And that's an incredible story.
Yeah,
He's a huge reason why the Rangers are where they are.
in games played, you're right. 9-0-1.
Hasn't even suffered a regulation loss.
No, he hasn't.
The only goaltender in the NHL not to have suffered a regulation loss yet, with
Possibly.
10 games minimum played.
Possibly. He currently has a 926 save percentage. Shesterkin's save percentage at the moment is 906. I did not realize it was that low, but he has noticeably been struggling this season. But
That's
if it
amazing.
if it
Amazing.
wasn't, dude, if it wasn't for Quick, we'd be right in the thick of things in like third, fourth in the division right now, fighting for positioning.
And you talk about Yaroslav Halak, the guy that many Rangers fans wanted to hang on to, gets signed to a PTO by the Hurricanes, gets released in 2 days, and is an unrestricted free agent with no team. And Jonathan Quick, who comes in, it's incredible. He's a Hall of Famer, and I hope he wins his second straight Stanley Cup.
Yeah, that would be nice.
And get some playoff opportunity. I know that sounds crazy, but
See,
again,
here's the weird thing.
Save percentage. And
Here's the weird thing about Quick, bro.
Yeah.
I am so sorry to cut you off there. So sorry. Here's the weird thing about Quick. So going back to the 2018-19 season and moving forward, his save percentage that particular season was 888. 2019-20, 904. 2020, 2021, 898. 21-22, 910. 22-23, 876. And so far, 876 with the Kings before the trade, 901 with the Knights after the trade last season, and this season, 926. He has not had a save percentage of 920 in a single season since 2011-12, the Kings' first cup. So while the resurgence is definitely great for us as Rangers fans, I'm very cautiously optimistic because we have not seen a stretch from him like this in years, and he's 37. So I don't want to go full on, oh, he's back after what we've seen the last couple seasons, but I'm going to enjoy this while it lasts.
Me too.
Yeah, because like I said, he's 37. This is a major resurgence, and it's really weird because the Kings were on the up and coming 2 years ago, and he was playing frankly terrible that season. And now once the Kings got rid of him, they started to actually become a good team, which was That might be coincidence, might just be bad timing on his part, but he's outdueling Jonathan. He's outdueling Jonathan Quick. He's outdueling Igor Shesterkin at the moment, and that begs the question: should we be worried about Shesterkin yet, or should we put it as more of a yellow flag that could potentially become a red flag if this down stretch for him continues for a little bit longer? What do you think?
Yeah, I'd probably say the latter, a yellow flag that could potentially become a red flag. It hasn't been the best start to the season, but as long as the team's winning games,
Yep.
And look, if the backup's winning, that means that down the stretch, if you're comfortably in a playoff spot, you can give Shesterkin that rest that he needs so that when he has to go through potentially 4 playoff rounds, he's well rested and ready to go.
Yep, I agree. And here's the one thing I was thinking about the other day, and thinking about Shesterkin's season so far. It goes to show you how truly spoiled we were with Lundqvist as our goaltender, putting up a 920 save percentage for those 11 years, was it? 9 years,
Yep.
11 years.
Yep.
Yeah. So Igor, this is his third season. Igor still has not, he has one of two full seasons with a 920 save percentage. It just
It
goes
just,
to show you we were
yeah.
spoiled.
We were spoiled, and it's just so hard to put up consistent seasons as a goaltender, especially save percentage wise.
Yep.
I mean, Shades, look it up. I mean, Ilya Sorokin. I mean, you talk about drop offs from goaltenders. Shesterkin's save percentage, went from 925 all the way down to 906. Ilya Sorokin was probably even higher than that. And he's had a worse year than Semyon Varlamov, his goaltending counterpart with the Islanders. So, again, it's a year by year thing. And Lundqvist was one of the few that was able to put it together for multiple seasons at an elite.
Yeah, and this is like one of the reasons why I can't stand when people shit on him, because I'm like, you don't realize just how good he actually was. Because goalies with multiple cups didn't even come close to doing anything like that. 11 straight seasons with a 920 save percentage.
100%.
Yeah, that's more of a side tangent. But between Jimmy Vesey just becoming, game-winning goal Vesey, Quick's resurgence, Igor's down year, the team's still winning games, Laviolette coming in, and his system alone being a major benefit, along with the great goaltending from Quick. It's been a recipe for success so far.
Yeah. It's just all come together for this Rangers team. And I hope they're going to be able to keep it up. And again, it just seems like one of those special seasons, right? Where even in games where you think they're not supposed to win, they somehow come away with it. And there just seems to be a special nature about this club right now. And I hope they make a good long playoff run.
So,
I knew
you're 1 for 4,
I
one
knew
for
it, I
five.
knew I knew it was
Bless
coming.
you.
I knew it was coming.
My God, you're usually on point. You're 1 for 20% this episode. Dear Lord.
Not good. Not
Man,
good.
your save percentage is dropping this episode as we speak.
Even Igor has me beat, I think.
Oh, dear Lord. Uh, it's close. It's gotten close. You've dragged it down quite a bit this episode. Now I kind of want to go back, even though I'm not going to, and see how many times you've caught yourself sneezing and actually got the mute button off.
We gotta keep up with it in future episodes. So
Yeah, we should. All right, 1 for 5 starting. All right, you're 2 for 6. 2 for 6. Starting December 21st.
the save percentage has gone up.
Has gone up indeed. Now, the one thing that has been I don't want to say a problem, but it's definitely been, I don't know what exactly is the right word here, but I wouldn't exactly say a red flag because it hasn't caught up to them yet, but something to keep an eye on. They've been, and this is according to Steve Valiquette, who we all know is like a god when it comes to statistics like this and analytics and stuff. They're one of the worst teams against the odd man rush in the league, or against the rush, and they have been for quite a couple games now. Do I think that they can improve that? Absolutely, because I think Laviolette is a lot more on top of stuff like this than Gallant ever was. But as of right now, they're winning games. But even Valiquette said, I wouldn't exactly call it a red flag now, but it's definitely, if it keeps up, it definitely is going to be something to get concerned about. But they keep winning, so I'm hoping that they can figure this out and cut down on that problem over the next little stretch here and get back on track in that particular aspect. What are your thoughts on this? You're muted.
Again, that happens once every episode too.
Man, we're hitting all the
Um,
buttons on this
two
one,
for
aren't we?
seven, I guess. I want to know what you thought before I went into it.
Well, like I said, I have been missing a lot of games this season because shit just keeps coming up. Nothing serious. It's just like friends' birthdays, stuff like that. Just I'm never home, which sucks. But hey, they keep winning. If this does keep up, though, it is a major. Well, it's going to become a red flag. It's a little bit of a yellow flag at the moment because the stretch has continued for a little bit. But like I said, it's a yellow flag at the moment that could go away because I believe Laviolette has the ability as a coach to see a problem, diagnose it, and fix it in practice, unlike Gallant. And as long as it doesn't start costing them games, that's where I'm at.
That's kind of where I stand too. As long as you keep winning, I think everything else will handle itself. And like you said, right? They bring in Peter Laviolette because he knows how to handle the team when they encounter situations like this. And I guess, time will really tell whether the adjustments are made during practice, and we'll see it on the ice, right? So for me, again, right now it's a yellow flag, much like Shesterkin, and what's going on with him. Keep an eye on it, but for right now, the team is winning games, so no reason to complain.
Yep, exactly. And I mean, I don't really have much left to talk about the Rangers in particular, but what have your thoughts been on Blake Wheeler? I'm not really singling him out for any other reason. He was just kind of one of the bigger names that we signed in the offseason.
Yeah, I think if you talk to any Ranger fan, they'll tell you that he's been a disappointment this year. But I also think you have to use the benefit of hindsight. And Blake Wheeler is coming from the Winnipeg Jets organization, a team that he's been with his entire NHL career. And he comes to a huge market in New York, a veteran amidst a pretty young team. There was always going to be pressure on him to produce right from the get-go. And I think his play style isn't necessarily complemented by the players around him. I think he is a slow, grinded out type player who, entering the year was asked to play with Mika Zibanekad and Chris Kreider, two players who play with an immense amount of speed and really generate most of their opportunities off of the rush if it's not on the power play. And Wheeler doesn't really complement them in that aspect. I think, maybe finding a spot for him on a different line, which I think they've done. And again, that's another thing, right? Peter Laviolette noticing that there's an issue and making the adjustments and putting his lines in a better position to succeed. But for me, Blake Wheeler has been a disappointment, but you have to realize he's coming from a team that he's played with his entire career. He's coming to a very difficult market and a great fan base, but a difficult fan base when it comes to expectations. And
Especially
I
on
believe
Twitter.
he'll turn it around. And he score? He scored against Toronto, right? So
Uh, like I said, I only caught the third period.
I believe scored against Toronto, and that's 2 goals against Toronto. So
Hmm.
he's starting to pick it up slowly but surely, but he's not a player for me, shades on an $800,000 contract that I have any interest on giving up on right now.
Yeah,
But if it comes a time where it's either Tyler Pitlick or Nick Bonino or maybe an Anthony Duclair or a Matt Zuccarello at the trade deadline over Blake Wheeler, we can have that conversation when it comes. But for me right now, his contract isn't a hindrance, and on the ice, obviously, he's not a hindrance either because the team, once again, is winning.
yeah, yeah. And like we mentioned earlier in the episode, we're first in, actually, technically, we're third in the league at the moment because Vancouver and Vegas have more points than us, and they also have 3 more games played each. So we're first. We're technically third, but we're first.
Yeah.
In point percentage, we're first, 750. So I'll take
Wheeler
it.
did not score against Toronto, by the way. He did at MSG when the Rangers got shellacked, but let's not bring that up.
Yeah, but hey, been a good season so far. It's been nice to see Quick stealing games for us, quite frankly. It's been nice to see Jimmy Vesey just turn into game-winning goal Vesey. It's
Right.
been nice to see Panarin's hot start to the season. It's been nice to see Zibanejad finally getting on a roll. which we've been waiting for that for, to be honest, 20 something games. And he's finally, the last 10 or so games, he's finally looking pretty good. Thank God, because I was starting to get very worried about him. And yeah, our bottom six is just playing pretty well overall.
Yep. Complete team effort night in and night out. I mean, there are a couple of stinkers in there, but that's going to happen with every team. But for me, I couldn't have asked for anything more out of this start from the Rangers.
Yeah, there's
Besides
also been
the start, but
yeah, there's also been a couple stinker periods in wins, which thank God they've been fewer than the last two seasons, because the last two seasons, like we would win a game with playing just an absolutely brutal 20 to 30 minutes, sometimes even 40, and miraculously win a game. We've been playing probably a bad period once every 3 games,
right.
which is, yeah, like I said, massive improvement under Laviolette, which has been just great to see. The team keeps winning, and let's enjoy it while it lasts, because the trade deadline, where things are going to pick up quite a bit, I feel like. If they bring Zook back, this is just getting ahead of myself. I might actually cry in a good way, but I feel like there will be a movement.
Let me just put it this way. I'm watching Minnesota Wild games very closely. And I think a lot of Ranger fans are, and I wouldn't be surprised if Chris Drury is too. I mean, shades. Take a moment. The playoffs. Game 1. The Rangers are able to put out a first line. Chris Kreider on the left. Mika Zibanekad in the middle. And Matt Zuccarello on the right. And then Panarin, Trocheck, Lafreniere, Kako, Hedel, Vesey, all these guys. Fill out the rest of your lineup. I need to see it. I know a lot of the Ranger fans have talked about it. $6 million is a big cap hit. I get it. But
yeah, everyone also thought
I might cry too.
Everyone also thought that Buchnevich's cap hit was ridiculous. Meanwhile, I was just like, the Blues got him on a fucking steal, and the Rangers could have matched that, but I digress.
And Zuccarello is kind of an ageless player, right? Like he's what, upper 30s now, and he just has not lost a step. He's just fantastic. So
let's see. Zuccarello he is where the fuck is his name?
34, maybe.
Is he injured right now? What the fuck, Cat Friendly?
Traded to the New York Rangers. What?
Oh, he is. Oh, he is on IR. Shit. He's 36, and he is on. Wow, he actually just signed an extension for 2 years. So that might be we might be getting a little bit ahead of ourselves.
Doesn't necessarily mean much though. If you're a team out of the playoff race and you can retool on the fly.
Never know. You never know.
He's got 28 points in 28 games, point per game player this year.
Yeah. Well, playing with Kaprizov is probably helping him a lot, but
right.
Zook is still a good player. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Getting way ahead of ourselves.
You never know.
Never know. All right, so yeah, I got really nothing else. I want to shoot the New York Jets because they give me false hope every week, but that's totally different story. I enjoyed my cold brew. Dunkin', although was not on point this morning when I went to go pick up my breakfast, I'll be honest with you.
No, it wasn't too good.
No, there was like 8 people waiting in the Dunkin'. None of their orders were ready. Meanwhile, there was like 6 orders on the side, and I'm just like, what the hell happened?
What's going on here at Dunkin'?
Yeah, what's going on here indeed? And because the funny thing is, I get my usual thing, and then of all things that took forever when I was actually in there waiting was the hot coffee itself with milk and the donut. And I'm just like, how did that take so long? But like, how did that take almost 20 minutes? That was a little mind-boggling.
All you gotta do is put the donut in the bag.
Yeah, I don't get it, but I still went there twice today, still got my points, still redeemed my free reward, for coffee on Sunday when I'm watching the Jets game.
Right.
Yeah, so that happened this morning.
There you go.
You got anything interesting that happened this morning?
No, can't say so. Oh, we dropped off teddy bears today to a few organizations in the greater Atlanta area. We had our teddy bear toss on Saturday. Yeah, so donated around 40 to 50 bags today, which was good.
Jesus.
Yeah, 13,000 teddy bears. God's Nation donating. So
My God.
should
That
check
must
out the teddy bear toss goal. It was fun.
that must have taken forever.
Yes. Well, you know what? The cleanup crew did a good job, which is pretty much the front office staff that I work with. So good job.
Way to go, Gladiators.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I got nothing else really. So,
Well, I got one more thing.
oh, hit me.
Fun fact: the world record for teddy bears or stuffed animals tossed onto the ice in a teddy bear toss hockey game, it was set by the Hershey Bears. You want to take a guess? How many bears were thrown onto the ice? Remember, this is the world record. I'm not talking 13,000 ECHL.
I'm gonna go with 5,000.
Dude,
Higher?
5,000. I just said it's higher than 13.
Oh shit. I didn't realize they could get.
No, no, no.
Okay.
It was, want me to tell you? You want to guess?
17,000.
67,000 stuffed animals. The Hershey Bears.
Holy shit.
Check out the video online. After you watch this episode of Pucks and Brews, check out the video of the Hershey Bears and their fans throwing 67,000 fans on not fans, 60,000 stuffed animals onto the ice in celebration of the first goal. I think it was last year.
How long did that take? Like to just throw them on the ice?
I think it's like a 28-minute video.
28.
Yeah.
Wait, was that from start of throwing to they're all off the ice?
I think that might have been start of throwing until they were done throwing.
Holy shit.
And it's interesting as the broadcaster to go through a teddy bear toss. For me, I'll just go, oh, and he scores the teddy bear toss goal, whatever. And then literally just let the net sound play just for 28 minutes. Enjoy the goal song, enjoy the music, enjoy, let the moment kind of play itself out.
So, okay, 13,000. That's, oh my God, that's an average of 5 like more than 5 teddy bears thrown on the ice per person.
Yes.
That is insane.
There were people, season ticket holders and longtime fans of the Glads and who brought like maybe 10 teddy bears, like brought in garbage bags.
Jesus.
And last year we had 15,000. So this year we fell a little bit short of last year's franchise record. So, but 67,000, don't think I'm ever coming close to it. But I would like to see Madison Square Garden do a teddy bear toss.
Wait, okay. So like with people throwing from like the top level of seats, like are they basically just hitting people down on the bottom and then those people are like grabbing them and just like getting them towards the ice?
Pretty much. Yeah. It is to use a wrestling term, it is a tag team effort. I threw one from the catwalk. I wanted to see if I was gonna be able to get one onto the catwalk. I did not have the arm strength. So I, like you just said, Shades, hit somebody below me, and they gave me the assist and then got it onto the ice. It was so funny too because like they were cleaning up, and it's my coworkers, so I can make the joke. But they were cleaning up and they were all finishing, and there was like 2 teddy bears left. And my coworker, she picks up a teddy bear, puts the last one in the truck that they bring onto the ice, and somebody from the crowd just throws like 6 more.
Oh my God.
And then they just start raining down. So that's why, when I'm talking about Hershey and the 67,000, it takes so long because you think you're done and then somebody else pulls out another 3 garbage bags and suddenly they're raining down once again. So
that must be great, just throwing teddy bears and then just getting fucking bombarded from behind. Like, oh my God.
Never been to a teddy bear toss?
I have not.
Okay. You got to go to one day. You're a little far from the Adirondack Thunder. That'll probably be the closest to New York, but yeah, no,
couple hours upstate.
Couple hours.
But Jesus, mother of God, 67,000.
I might just go watch that video after this episode.
28 minutes.
Because
I believe it, because like that takes some time.
Oh, it definitely does. I think hours like 120 minutes. not necessarily start throwing the Bears to end throwing the Bears, but from the start to the cleanup. Yeah.
My goodness, that is insane.
So their teddy bear toss when they set the world record. So 5 years ago they set the record with 34,000. So they've doubled that. More than doubled that. Less than doubled that, but
Almost doubled it,
almost, yeah.
which is still impressive, to say the least.
In 2022, Hershey did 52,000.
Jesus.
I mean, let's be honest though. Whoever invented the teddy bear toss, marketing genius.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, of course, it goes to a good cause, and around Christmas time, many underprivileged kids get to appreciate a free stuffed animal. But at the same time, I mean, it's harmless fun, but family oriented. It's an event that people want to come out and combine with the game of hockey. The arena gets super packed, probably even more packed, than some playoff games. Like here, I'll bring it to a full screen here just so I can bring it up. But like, look at that! Look how packed that
Holy
crowd
shit.
is right there. That's in Calgary with the Hitmen.
Wow.
But again, that's just one of the many examples of why hockey is the greatest game on earth.
For those listening and not watching, check out the YouTube version of the podcast because Liam just showed how crazy it gets on his phone.
Here, and I'll show you real quick for the end here what the ice looked like
Oh boy.
at the end. So look, that's an
Oh my God.
entire 200 feet, right, filled up
My God.
with almost, I mean, in one of those rows there, like at least like a 1,000.
Insane.
So pretty wild. I don't know how we got on the teddy bear toss tangent, but I'm not exactly upset about it.
No, that was actually pretty cool.
Yeah,
All right. Well, I mean, it's a great way to end an episode.
I'd say so. Check out the Gladiators teddy bear toss too. You can
Yes.
find that on our YouTube channel. So
Yeah, support Liam's ECHL organization that he works for, please.
thank you.
All
Hopefully
right.
we keep winning some games soon.
Yeah, hopefully they get back on in their winning ways like they were at the start of the season.
For sure.
All right, so this has been Pucks and Brews, episode number 51. As always, I have been your host, Michael Shade Sparacino, alongside Liam, the Shellmaster Godimer. I would say get to a teddy bear toss because that's definitely on my bucket list now.
Here's my wrap for this episode. Get out to a teddy bear toss at some point. Ovechkin is not yet cooked, and the Rangers are the best team in hockey.
Damn right.
All right.
Adios.